In this video, I'm going to be using the tracks that I recorded on Easter Sunday with no other processing. This is how they came off the console in the room. So you're going to be seeing some issues that I had and how I dealt with it in a real world situation. And if you like this kind of content and you want to see more of it from me, be sure to like, subscribe, do all the YouTube things, and also comment below if you have a console that you want to see me do this type of breakdown on. Like if you have a certain console that you use at your church and would like some more direction on, comment below and I'll make it happen. And also, I've just got to say, totally realized that Collaborate Worship did basically this same breakdown. Totally not copying them. They do awesome stuff over there. So is it against the YouTube rules to like pitch someone else's channel? I don't know. Collaborate Worship. Go like, subscribe to them. They do great stuff over there. Also, like Cade, Collaborate team. Want to collab in the future? You know, small YouTube channel. You know. Shooters gotta shoot, right? Alright, anyway, no way they're watching this. And if you need any extra help training your small sound team of like how this stuff works in the real world, you need quicker sound checks, you need more effective sound checks so that your worship team still is your friend after the service, check out my mixing course below. It's in the description. And also, after we're done with this, if you're wondering how I hear certain frequencies and how I'm able to distinguish between frequency ranges, behind the scenes, I've been working on a ear training course that goes over how I have taught myself and how I've learned to hear frequencies and use my ears while mixing. So I'm working on that behind the scenes. If you want to know whenever that's launched, download my free reverb cheat sheet with the settings that I've already put on the board here. It's what I use whenever I run sound. So you'll get those reverb settings, but also you'll be notified whenever that launches. All right, so let's get to it. All right, so let's get started. So first off, I've labeled all my channels basically 1-to-1 coming out of Reaper on here. And I have set up my DCAs using the method that I've covered in another video. I'll link it in the description. I have set up my effects for drums, vocals, kind of the auxiliary instruments, whatever, instrument verb, and then a extra delay because we have it to work with today. That is with the settings that I've got in my reverb cheat sheet. We'll, touch on them a little bit later, but just so you have them, if you want them, they're in the description again. Oh, and one other thing I did want to say, after this video, here soon, I've got another video coming out where I'm going to take this same mix, but I'm going to basically rearrange it using direct in things, like my Pod Go, my acoustic with the worship tutorials, IRs, basically different IRs or softwares that you can get for either cheap or free, so that basically the direct in signals, your source tones, will be like identical to what I'm doing, so you can help arrange your worship team in that way if you if you want to help them in that way. So I've got that video coming. Again, subscribe so you don't miss it if that interests you. So let's get going. I've gone ahead and I've set up a rough gain structure on my channels just so that we're not dealing with that from scratch. So they'll be pretty close. Obviously, we'll probably do a little tweaking along the way, but let's listen to our kick drum first. So we have a kick in and a kick out mic. Let's just see what they sound like. That's the kick in. Kick out. Okay, so we have a decision to make here right out of the gate. So a lot of times the kick in mic will have just a ton of smack, but not as much low end. And your kick out mic will have a lot more low end and kind of a less flattering top end sometimes, not always, but sometimes. And I really hear that in this situation. So one thing I do want to say is that I'm not going to make decisions based off of what I know is happening in the room at my church. I'm going to really try to isolate here and what we're hearing in this moment and work from there. So let's just EQ this kick in mic first and see what we can do with a blend between the two and go from there. So kick in. So there's not much low end. So let's go down here and ballpark at like 60 hertz. A fairly tight Q, kind of middle of the road. Now I don't like that snare bleed right there, and I feel like there's not much happening in the kick there. So let's just get rid of all of that. There's really not much happening in that range. And I want you to hear how that actually tightened up the low end by taking that away. So that already added just some beef to it. Let's listen to the top end. I don't feel like it needs more of that, right? I kind of think maybe a little bit higher. Let's go with that for right now. Now let's listen to the kick out. So comparing the two, I like that one a lot more. Let's just see what we can do with this. Get rid of all these low mids here. And unflattering. And I don't like that. Kind of that basketball on the gym floor sound, you know? So let's actually do something. All right. I said we're going to keep things kind of basic or whatever, or ordinary. Let's do something kind of fun. One thing that I feel like we can do with this is actually use the kick out mic as essentially a sub kick, where we're only going to use it for the low end. And that may be a little weird. I don't know. We're just going to try it. It kind of seems fun. So let's dump out all of the top end on this. Let's turn this into a high cut. And I'm actually going to drop this second band a little lower so that we're really only getting the sub lows out of this thing. It may not work, but let's just see. So first, let's drop that down to 100. Take the second band and really dump that low mids out. And now let's take the first band and find where like the fundamental of the kick is. I may be wrong, but it's sort of right around there. 64 is what I'm on. So we'll do a tight Q right there. So we're really only getting that super deep stuff. And then we'll low cut just up at like 40. That may be ridiculous. I don't know. And now that we're there, what I think will be cool, let's bring this in. But it's a little bit too much on the low end when they're together. Kind of rings out a little bit. So now let's actually gate that kick out mic and see what happens, so that we really only get that dum dum dum. Makes sense? Let's see about the key filter. Yeah, it was already on. Okay. So it's the gate is being triggered by just the lower frequencies there. Okay. For really just ballparking it there, we'll put the hold at 10 milliseconds and release. Let's make it feel natural. Doesn't really bother me too much that snare's poking through some. It's kind of not a big deal. I feel like that's a better length of the doom doom than. So let's hear that in context. That's a pretty beefy kick drum. It's kind of awesome. I don't know, I may have to try that in the room now. All right, so now let's check the compression on kick in. Let's go to 4:0 ratio. And what we can do, let's bring this threshold down a good bit, so we're kind of squishing it some. Just mute that for now, so we're only hearing that top end. We'll squish it a little bit, bring the attack all the way down. This is sort of a, cheap way of finding a good attack and release time. So all the way down to 0. Now let's dial it up till it sounds not completely ridiculous. Maybe around in there. Right, off and on so we can just hear what's happening with that attack and release. We'll move the threshold in a second. Just want to knock it off a few dB. Okay, knocking off, what's that, you know, I don't know, up to 5 at times, maybe a little much. Makeup gain, let's add 3 dB. So now let's do an A-B of that. We'll see. We'll see in context. I don't know if that's exactly where I want it, but that's at least a starting point. So real quick, we're spending a lot of time here. Let's hit this kick in and kick out just to listen to them together. I feel like that hits pretty hard. All right, so let's jump over to snare. Let's mute those two. Snare top. Let's move over where he's really just kind of hitting the snare. Okay, so right out of the gate, we're gonna have some EQing to do. It's high pass, you know, 90 to 100, somewhere in there. There's a annoying thing going on somewhere in here. That guy. That's no good. Well, it's still a little much. I don't want to kill too much of the beef though, so we'll drop that out. And I wonder about this that kind of nasally thing going on. I feel like that's a little much as well, which is actually seems like it's about an octave up from this, so it's really the same thing, just at a different octave. Okay, it's a little weird looking. Let's bring a little top end up. Okay, that's something. We'll see. I feel like that's a good starting place. Let's go to the compression. Let's go 4 to 0 as well. Do the same thing. Drop the attack all the way down, and we're gonna find a good attack and release by over compressing it a bit. Bring that makeup gain down. Okay, so one thing that already I'm hearing on this, I like that the release is fast because it's bringing up that tail of the snare. So we need to dial in the attack a little bit better. Let some amount of the transient through. Bring that hold down. I feel like that adds kind of a little bit of length to it. Let's go off and on. There's no makeup gain yet, so it'll be a little louder, but okay. Okay, now let's bring in the snare bottom. I've got the polarity flipped. Let's just see what they sound like if I flip the other way. Honestly, not a ton of a difference, but I don't like the upper mids on this snare bottom, so let's just get rid of a lot of these low mids here. and sweep around in the upper mids. I don't like this kind of papery thing going on. That stuff. I don't like that. I mean, really, don't like much of a snare bottom, you know. Usually. Okay, maybe a little top end on top, just see if we can get some, like, decent sizzle out of it. And we're going to bring this down in the mix as well. We're just trying to find a good overall tone right now. So let's compress the snot out of this. Let's go 5-0 ratio, all the way attack. Hold. Let's just bring that down too, so that we really get like a quick snap out of this. So we just are emphasizing the length of it, maybe. Not totally sold on this. Let's back up a bit. Yeah, definitely don't like that. But I also don't like this stuff going on either. So let's work in the low mids. Let's bring a low shelf into the mix. I really just like this stuff up in the much higher range. It's kind of absurd looking, but let's see with the kick and snare together what it sounds like. You can press the snot out of it. Yeah, I like that better. Okay. Kick and snare together. Not terrible. All right, and so now let's bring in this drum verb. I've already got it sent. Okay, so let's take a listen to this kick and mic now with that stuff together. I wasn't going to gate it, but now let's gate it, but mess with the range. I don't want it totally drop into 0 because, I don't know, it doesn't sound totally natural, but it sounds a little funny sometimes to me. So let's attack all the way at 0 and mess with the hold and release and see what these things sound like in, context together. We're listening for the length of this kick drum. Oops, where am I at? Oops, that was the compressor, sorry. Okay, I like that better. I feel like that kind of adds just a better feel to the length of the kick. So I've got attack at 0, hold at 10 milliseconds, release at 30 milliseconds. Seems a little fast, but sounds okay, I guess, right now. And the range down at 20 dB, so it's not going to drop all the way to 0. It's just it's not going to drop 60 dB and completely cut it off. So we'll go with that for right now, and let's bring in the overheads. A lot of noise in there. Okay, tons of low mids and bad mid range. So let's bring our low cut, and I've got these linked. Up to 200. Helps a little bit. Okay, take our low band, low shelf. Yeah, that cleans it up a lot. Okay, and one more time. These upper mids are a little gnarly. Okay, maybe a little higher. And just for kicks and giggles, let's compress these a bit, just to tighten them up maybe. Kind of a ballpark number, 124, attack at 10. Let's go with that. Just kind of bring off a little bit of the top. So really the snare is the only thing triggering it, so let's bring that release down some. Okay, we'll go with that for now. And right now, I'm only sending snare and toms to the reverb. All right, so now let's find a place that the toms are playing and dial those in. All right, it's gonna be a little obnoxious. Okay, I've got these panned about halfway, to the left and right. So tom 1. All right, mid-range. That papery, nasally thing going on. Maybe a little bit too much up here. Okay, we'll go with that. Now let's find tom 2. All right, so that's pretty rough. That's pretty rough. Okay. All right, so mostly mid-range issues, and this tom 2 is ringing a lot more. So I'm not going to gate it because I don't see a gate acting well with that sound. So let's actually just listen in context and see if it becomes an issue down the road. But for right now, let's actually just go with that and see where we land later. All right, so let's bring in everything. All right, so for now, let's go with that, and now let's move over to bass. Mute our drums. Let's low cut about up to 40, just to clean any junk that we can't really hear anyway. And now, one thing I'd like to do is actually use the auto feature on this compressor. So we'll go 4:0 ratio, and let's just start off by knocking off, like, where we at? Let's say 3 or 4 dB and see what that sounds like with the drums. Keep playing for us. Okay, I kind of like this. So it's a little more. I mean, he's hitting up in like 6 and 7 dB at times, but it's pretty solid sounding. Let's go with that. Let's bring in the drums. All right, I like that. I actually like that. Okay, let's jump over to electric. low cut up to about 100, just to clean up anything down there. These are panned out wide. Okay, those upper mids might become an issue in a bit. Right now, let's actually leave it right here, and we'll see if it becomes an issue later in context with everything else. There's a little bit of a bad distortion in there. Sounds like a speaker breakup, so we'll see what becomes of that in a bit. So now let's jump over to keys, and at that, I think the key rig for this Sunday was just our house, like a Korg setup, with just stock sound. It sounds okay, and they swap between piano, Rhodes, and pad with a blend of it, so we'll see what that sounds like. Now we're going to low cut, but only up to like 60 or 80, somewhere in there. Oh, 95. Okay, so this is pretty dry. I'm going to play it in context with everything we've got so far and see about our blend. That's pretty dry sounding, so I might actually feed that into the same verb as the violin that I've already set up for the violin. I may feed that in, so let's see in context. First off, let's take care of this mid-range. That stuff, it's a little much. Puts it too much in your face. Yeah, let's feed that into this auxiliary verb. Verb 3, I believe, is where I've got it set up. See, I've already sent the violin, yeah. So let's hit play and bring that up. First off, have to do this. Bring it up about right there. Get a blend going. Okay, let's go with that for now. The point of that wasn't to like make it super washy feeling, but to get it out of your face. It's just kind of a little too there, So let's see what that sounds like later. Again, some of this, especially when vocals come in and can be subject to change. So let's jump to violin. Got to find a place where she's playing. Leave that where it is for now, and let's compress this with the auto. It's already there. Bring that down. Okay. Just kind of get a more even volume. A lot of times compression can be used for different tonal things, but in that case, in some of the others, like the bass, I'm really not trying to change tone, just trying to make it, a little bit more solid, a little bit more consistent. So that's all I'm going for there. So let's bring that in with everything else again. in context there, let's jump back to the keys and let's actually compress them a bit. Keep them in line whenever they start doing a little bit, rolls or whatever. So. Again, let's just go auto. Right where at this volume, she's sort of hitting the threshold. So that basically when she goes above this, it starts, bringing down those peaks a little bit. And let's go 2.5 ratio. See that how when she started playing a little bit more into it is when the compression kicks in. So we kind of find that bass line, and then we're gonna start pinning it from there. All right, we're not gonna overthink that. We're just gonna go with it for now. All right, so now acoustic. Let's go to a place where the acoustic's really going. All right. Yeah. Don't like this stuff. Kind of that plasticky sound that acoustics can have. The nature of direct in instruments sometimes. Okay. Right there. Okay. Now let's compress this. Try to pin down some of those transients a bit. $10 milliseconds sounds about decent. 100 millisecond release. Our makeup gain is about a 3 dB. Just go with that. All right, let's listen with everything, bring it in. Okay, I'm actually gonna feed that into this verb just a little bit. Let's not overthink that too much. Let's just drop it right there. It just feels a little dry as well, like it's just right up in your face. So let's go to vocals. On this one, it is vocal 2 is the lead, I believe. Is that where I'm at? I think vocal 2. Have to check again. So we'll start on the lead and go from there down. I don't want to say importance, but go to the ones that are really kind of driving the song, and then we have our background vocals that will fill out harmonies and things like that. So let's see what there is. All right, so vocal 2. Forgot to say, I have got the vocals routed the same as I've covered in another video where I'm bussing them all. They're not going to the main. They're going through this bus so that I can compress them together multiple times. I'll link that in the description, so we'll go over a full setup there. But that's what's going on. And I'm actually hearing how loud she already was. I'm going to drop this bus down 5 dB. All right, here we go. Upper mid, you can even see it on there. low shelf there, and some of that boxy sound. It's a little smoother. So now, what I've covered in some other videos, I really just, on vocals too, I just love that auto compression there. And I'm actually just, for the sake of that, I'm just going to go ahead, throw it on all the vocals, and if it doesn't work, we'll change it. But I just love the sound. It's super easy. It's sort of a cheat code for you in case you're not aware. So let's drop this ratio down to 2:0. Let's go right here. This is some basic settings I just kind of go for a lot of times. All right, so let's dial in where she's knocking off, let's say, 3 to 5 maybe on there, and then we'll go to our bus and check that compression. Okay. 2 dB makeup gain for the bus. Same thing. And now to the effect, to the LA2A that we inserted. Let's actually not have her triggering that yet, because we're going to bring other vocals in, and we'll probably start doing a little too much there. So I'm actually going to back this bus compressor off, and we'll dial that in once we've got everyone else rocking and rolling. So let's bring in the vocal verb. Got this delay as well. Okay. So there's that. That's a decent place to be right now. Let's bring in our background, our kind of main background vocal for this one right here. Well, up there, and then the upper mids as well a bit. Just a little bit, bring it down. That same song and dance, compression. Okay, that works. So now the other background vocals, let's see what's going on with them. We'll bring them in and kind of mix them in context, because these others aren't singing out in front of everyone. So we'll go right here. Same place. Stuff with expression. Yeah. Up there. Okay. He's not singing right now, so we'll jump over here. Mid-range on this one. Low shelf it. All right, are we forgetting anything? So the effects, what I've done here, I've just added a stereo delay. I didn't even change anything about it, I don't think. Just low cut and high cut the send. You know, where we at? About 5K, 400, just to get that a little bit dry, not drier, but that a little bit more focused sound, so it's not so bright and airy or muddy. All the others are about the same. I think that at some point, my decay on my vocal verb is a little bit higher, like 2.80 seconds. But otherwise, everything is straight off of the effects cheat sheet. So I was feeling a little bit of a longer decay time whenever I was setting this up. Okay, so that's basically what I would do to get this going. Let's now, to really know if it's working or not, let's actually just mix some of this live, and let's go down. You'll see how I'm moving faders, how I'm working with effects, and we'll see if any other changes need to be made, and go from there. Delay off, we'll save it for later. Save for the big moments.
To every soul held captive by depression, I speak Jesus. 'Cause your name is power, your name is healing, your name is life. Break every stronghold, shine through the shadows, oh, burn like a fire. Your name is power, 'cause your name is power, your name is healing, your name is life.
Just using this to catch some peaks from the whole group singing loud.
Shine through the shadows,
That's fine.
shout Jesus from the mountains, Jesus in the streets, Jesus in the darkness over every enemy.
fill up the room with that pad.
Jesus, for my family, I speak the holy name. Jesus.
Come on, everybody, sing Jesus.
Bring it back down.
Shout Jesus from the mountains, Jesus in the streets, Jesus in the darkness over
Alright, and delay.
every enemy. Jesus for my family, I speak the holy name.
Verb and delay up.
Shout Jesus. Shout Jesus from the mountains, Jesus in the streets, Jesus in the darkness over every enemy. Jesus for my family, I speak the holy name.
Delay.
Jesus.
Electric.
Your name is power. Your name is healing. Your name is life. Break every stronghold. Shine through the shadows. You'll burn like a fire. Your name is power. Your name is power. Your name.
All right, and going off script.
Because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, all fear is gone. Because I know he holds the future, and life is worth the living just because he lives. Sing that again. Because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, all fear is gone. Because I know he holds my future, and life is worth the living just because he lives. And life is worth the living just because he
Oh man, oh that one gets me every time. Okay, so I think that's about it, guys. So I hope one thing you can take from this is we have a small console with very little instrumentation going on. We have drums, bass, one guitar, one keyboard, like a violin and acoustic. Violin doesn't even play a ton of the time, and then vocals. We're not running any tracks. We do run a click. That's what this blank channel 10 is. But otherwise, there's nothing fancy going on. I'm not running any special effects, really. I'm running, the basic reverbs and delay with one insert at this point, and I feel like we got a pretty solid mix, and everything there is exactly like we had it on the day. So problems, the good and the bad, that's what I was working with in the room. And so I hope that what you can take from this is you don't have to, have all the fancy things to have a decent mix. That I feel like we threw something together pretty good sounding pretty quick, and that was with me talking too much probably. So I hope that you've taken some stuff from this, got some new tricks or insights that you may not have known before. Again, like, subscribe. I really appreciate you hanging out. If you've gotten to this far, then you're awesome, and thanks for hanging out for so long. Again, check the description for all my different resources, my ebook, my free guides, my if you want to go a little deeper with my courses to help train your sound teams, those are down there as well. So check those out. Thanks again for hanging out with me, and I'll see you guys in the next one where we're going to do a new mix with this same set, but we're going to be doing it with some different source tones that are possibly a little bit more repeatable for you. And I'm going to tell you how I would arrange it. We're going to go a little bit more into the arranging and production side of it. So yeah, like, subscribe, do all that stuff if you want to see that video here soon, and I will talk to you guys here soon.